I think my dad tried to kill my mom in the 1990s. This is something that has been in my mind since I was a teenager in the 1990s. I really think my father tried to kill my mother. She has since passed away of cancer, but I think he tried and failed. I grew up in a very small, very strict family. I was usually not allowed to do much of anything, and was kept on a very short leash. We traveled a lot all over the world. Every time we traveled, no matter where in the world we went, I always was in the same room with my parents. This was true as a younger child through to the last time I went on a vacation with them in my 20s. This one time, however, in 1991 we were in Greece at a beachside hotel. Nothing fancy, just a nice family-run beachfront hotel in a small village on the Aegean Sea. It was beautiful. I was 14 years old at the time and very much controlled by my parents. Like too strict. These were the last few days of a 3-week trip through Greece before returning to Athens for a few days to fly back to the US. Inexplicably, for the 3 days we stayed in this town, I was given my own hotel room. I can't express strongly enough what an anomaly this was. This is something that never happened before and never happened again after. At the time I didn't ask any questions and was just thrilled to have my own room. Store and pressed its door. And if you're imagining that it had something to do with them wanting privacy, I can assure you that was not the reason, because my father was, sadly, a gay man living publicly as a straight man. One day we spent a few hours at the beach and returned to the hotel in the late afternoon to clean up and rest before going out for the evening. During that time, my dad and his friend, a man who was traveling with us, went on an approximately 2-hour walk. While I was in my room relaxing, my mom was in their room next door. All of a sudden I heard a very loud crashing noise that was obviously coming from their room. I was scared but knocked on their door. My mom was standing there looking shocked and speechless. She led me towards the bathroom and I couldn't believe what I was looking at. The hotel toilets were the old kind, that had the big water tank mounted up high on the ceiling with a pull chain to flush it. However, there was a big metal weight of some sort inside of it that had just randomly disconnected, flew up over the tank lid, and crashed down onto the toilet, cracking it completely in half. It also got the wall-mounted sink and broke that in half too. She stood up to flush the toilet, but if she hadn't, that heavy metal piece would have landed right on her head. You can imagine the mess this created of the bathroom? It was completely unusable at this point with water everywhere. At that point, I went to the hotel lobby again. I was only 14 and tried explaining to them in broken Greek what had happened. They were irate and couldn't understand how or why this happened, because things like this just don't happen. They were accusing us of breaking it. So about 2 hours later, my dad and his friend returned from their walk to find me standing in the lobby talking to the angry front desk person. I explained to them what had happened, and then my dad's friend, who was Greek, took over the conversation since he was fluent. I remember thinking it was odd that he knew what had happened without having been up to the room. Yet, or at least, that's what it seemed like from the limited Greek that I could understand. I don't know. Ultimately, they gave my parents a new room and my dad's friend smoothed things over for us with the hotel. But it's never stopped bothering me. My father worked in the insurance industry for years. We also always had travel insurance whenever we traveled, which covered accidental death, injury, etc. I'd bet money that he increased her life insurance before the trip and took out the max in travel insurance for that particular trip. And these were the last few days of our 3-week trip. He was also somewhat involved with this man who was traveling with us, and I suspect he was hoping to break free of her. She was not the nicest person to him, or to me. There are many other sketchy things about my dad that I won't get into here, but I can't help but wonder, did he try to kill her that day? Is that why I was inexplicably given my own hotel room? So there wouldn't be a chance of me using the toilet. It just seems so unlikely that things like this just randomly happen, especially considering the odd circumstances of me being placed in a separate hotel room in Greece when I wasn't even allowed to ride my bike around my own very safe street. At home, it just doesn't make sense. Thoughts?